So one of the things we were looking at Tesco was how do we improve our taxonomy? And so we wanted to test that with customers. So here's something I built. I could go anywhere I want. I can view particular products. Can we take this to the next level and actually test alternative taxonomies? I was using V0 to create a lot of this stuff. So learning how to use our Tesco's API. So one of the things I was able to do with this was prototype something like a back end. So you can see this is the taxonomy, and this is pulling in all the data. And you can click on the taxonomy and I can see all the categories within it. So what I could, on a kind of simple level, I could change the title of a category. So I could, change this to Journey's best deals. And then save it, refresh it. Might take a sec. Jay's best deals.
Boom.
And then, you could.
Hey folks, this is Jay and welcome to Sneak Peek. Today with me, I have the rockstar designer Rob from the Tesco design team, who's going to show us how you can use V0 to test the information architecture in your products. Rob, super stoked to have you on here.
Hey Jay, everybody. Nice to be here. So we use Gen AI for lots of things. You can make, really interactive prototypes. You can try out crazy things. But what we've also been exploring is how do we use it for testing prototypes that can go broader, allow customers to explore them and actually, test this with customers as well. So one of the things we were looking at Tesco was how do we improve our taxonomy? And so we wanted to test that with customers. So here's something I built with, this is plugging into our APIs. So it's pulling in all the data from our categories, and I can kind of click through all of these. I could go anywhere I want. I can view particular products. Obviously some of this doesn't look great, but that wasn't really the intention. So I could come here. And so first of all, we've got something that's really powerful that we can test with users, and we could, to do something like this in Figma would be impossible. You'd have to create prototype flows for every single interaction you want them to do. And so obviously I suppose the thing you see is that customers can't get lost. You want to see where they would go, and where they end up. So that was a great start. But what we actually then started thinking is, well, how we can test what we have today, but can we take this to the next level and actually test alternative taxonomies? So I was using V0 to create a lot of this stuff, and using it. That was when I was kind of really starting with the AI prototyping with V0. So learning how to use our Tesco's APIs. So big shout out to some of my colleagues who helped me, understand this, because I'm a designer. I've always wanted to code. I suppose now I don't necessarily need to, although I am learning and trying to learn more about it because you need to know what it's doing. Yeah. So one of the things I was able to do with this was, as well as coding that initial prototype, I saw was like, well, how do we prototype something like a back end? So this is the tool that I've got created at the back. So you can see this is the taxonomy, and this is pulling in all the data. And you can click on the taxonomy and I can see all the categories within it. So what I could, on a kind of simple level, I could change the title of a category. So I could, change this to Journey's best deals. And then I save it and come back here, refresh it. Might take a sec. Jay's best deals.
Oh yeah. Boom.
And then, you could say, oh, actually, I could change, you can change the titles of these. I could change the images as well if I wanted to, if I had a URL. Or I could Another thing you might want to do is move some of these categories around. So I can go over here, I can change its ranking. And so now bakery's at the top. Or I might want to actually go, well, let's put fresh food and frozen food in the same category. So I could create a new category called, I don't know, food. And then I need to make that. And so these IDs are like the kind of taxonomy. I can basically set the parent of that category. So food is now the parent. I copy that in. I mean, there's obviously, I could have finessed this, made this really nice, but I suppose this was a means to an end of how I could do it. But now within here, I've got fresh food and frozen food within there. I can save that. And then if I switch back, refresh it a couple of times. Oh, there we go. So now food, within food, and then we've got fresh food. And we've got Jay's Deals, bakeries at the top, So within that, what this allowed us to do is test a few different versions. And so I could test like 3 or 4 versions of that, and then I could just set that. And then we'd be like, okay, we're going to test. I could actually had it so certain prototypes pointed to one taxonomy, certain prototypes pointed to another taxonomy, and then our researchers are able to test different UI patterns for that, but also test what the actual categories could be. And so off the back of that research, we were able to identify kind of new category groupings and new information architecture, and certainly help towards how we kind of evolve that, as well as testing new UI patterns and things like that, which should hopefully go live soon.
Wow. How long did it take you from like start to end just to create this backend tool to change the taxonomy?
I mean, the real power in this is plugging in the data. So once I had the V0 being able to use the category API, it was pretty simple to then go like literal vibe coding. I was, like sketching and then just kind of describing it, let's do this kind of layout, should we use images? Because the images are in the API as well. So, I was able to get something pretty representative of the final thing in say an afternoon. And then it was with creating the back-end tool was probably another few hours. And probably not much longer than, going through all the Figma process of creating the prototypes and things like that. The UI wasn't, these were, I suppose it was testing more like wireframes, or aesthetics wasn't the big deal. It was just making sure the data was, relevant, and I suppose all that you could interact in a way that would be much more realistic. But yeah, it was a big game changer for us.
You talked about like how doing this in Figma would be so difficult or nearly impossible. Like, let's go into Figma if you have one of these navigation bars or stuff ready, just to see like visually how difficult it would be to change this, compared to how quickly you did it earlier.
Here's an example. This is from our app, and obviously, just to get to one specific screen, you've got the kind of top level, then the next level down, and then all the way to grapes. So you could imagine, I think we've done these things in the past where you'd have like 4 or 5 scenarios: find grapes, find a dining table, find an air fryer, or a gift for your auntie. You'd have to, create the screens for those, wire them up, and then I suppose if you then also wanted to have different layouts, you'd have to, duplicate that again. And then obviously if you don't want to change things, it becomes difficult. And I suppose ultimately, the biggest challenge though is that it's so limited in what you can do, and they can't get lost. Because when you're testing something like this, the real value is not where they end up, but where did they go first,
Yes.
If I want to see if they click on frozen food rather than fresh, I won't know that. They won't. If they do click on it, they won't go down into that. So we don't see all the different side streets that go down. So being able to test, that's why I suppose a lot of time you spend testing information architecture in like tree testing tools and things like that, where you don't see any of the UI, but you see where they go down. This way we were able to combine the two and make it more realistic and actually much more useful.
And then when you were like plugging in all the Tesco, backend data and all the APIs into this plugin, I wouldn't call it plugin, but the backend tool, how did you troubleshoot errors? Like if you look at your prompting history with V0, was it straightforward, or were there some points where you had to really struggle to kind of like solve the errors?
Yeah, I mean, that certainly wasn't, I suppose this was 6 months ago, but we did this now. So there was some issues where, things just got deleted or, did the completely wrong thing. A lot of the time though, there'd be a bug and then you get the button that comes up and says fix with V0. You just click the button and it fixes the bug. I haven't used V0 as much recently, but I'm sure, like other tools now, you don't even have to click the button. It will just test itself and fix it. And I suppose there's some Googling probably takes place, but talking to other agents. But yeah, it still, I think one of the reasons why I was playing around with V0 to start with on my kind of Gen AI journey or agentic coding, vibe coding, whatever you want to call it, was that the result, I was really impressed with the level of fidelity in the results. And it was a really, you can certainly see there's a lot of kind of care and taste within the product itself. And it was a great kind of starting point for me, before moving into some of the more other tools.
Thank you so much, Rob, for coming on Sneak Peek and showing us how we can use V0 for testing information architecture.
Thanks, Joe. Absolute pleasure.
Hey, this is Jay. It means the world to me that you watched this video. If you want to unlock the AI design and growth design interviews with designers at some of the top companies in the world, then head on over to sneakpeek.design and subscribe to the newsletter.